When they arrive, they'll make their way to the Victoria Concert Hall and Theater and search for Alan Wu. Alan Wu? Host of The Amazing Race Asia.
Ready, set, go!
Welcome to the sixth wonderful episode of Your Team Number, the Amazing Race Asia podcast from Reality TV Warriors. My name is Michael Harmstone, and joining me as always is the Canadian who's super excited to see what vegan is about, but thankfully not doing it in my house, Logan Saunders.
Morning.
Good morning. And we are back for another wonderful recap. Although not as wonderful as the past couple of weeks.
No, not as great as the past 3 or 4 episodes, but definitely not as terrible as the season premiere was.
Oh no. I mean, it was really cruel of them to cut Lisa and Nicole for the 6th time, but it's just becoming a running joke now.
You know what's funny is that as many jokes as we make about Lisa and Nicole, they have had as much airtime in the episodes this season as Tara Basro. And Basro is supposed to be the co-host for the whole season.
Well, she can't help it when she is locked in the Bantay bell tower.
Oh, she was locked in the bell tower this week?
Yeah, she's waiting for her Prince Charming to come and rescue her.
She might be weighing a lot.
Tara Punzel.
Tara Punzel? Well, she doesn't have any hair. She cut her hair really short. Like very 1990s female rocker style type hair.
Tara Punzel, let down your hair.
All I'm picturing is the Homer Simpson where he ends up being too heavy when he pulls down the hair, so he ends up just falling to the ground.
And ripping it out of her scalp.
Yeah. Maybe that's why Tara Basro's hair is so short. Because it used to be really long, but then, Homer Simpson was there and it just ripped out of her scalp. Alright. So this episode
was it was alright. There were some good moments to it. I can't really complain about it too much because there was a lot of good character moments, but it still wasn't as good as the past couple of weeks have been.
Yeah. So, previously,
8 teams raced from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. After another cruel elimination at the hands of the Salvage Pass, Lisa and Nicole were eliminated, leaving 7 teams to face a choice. Either fish for prawns to get their next clue, or face the first fast forward of the season. Tom and Anita and Alex and Will both went for the fast forward, but came unstuck when it came to eating sticky rice, in search for the Vietnamese coin they could swap for the next clue. At the detour, Louisa and Treasury smashed through badminton, while Eric and Rona hid from Yvonne and Chloe in a flowery challenge. The roadblock was hard to stomach for some team members, but despite crying, Louisa and Treasury won their 3rd leg in a row, and finally won a prize. However, Alex and Will couldn't catch up, and were the 5th team eliminated from the race.
Did you notice that Alan really stabbed it in there for Alex and Will? Where he was saying, and the Muscle Brothers fell way, way behind at the pit stop. Like, he didn't even try to downplay it all. He's like, man, they were so far behind. They were just terrible that last leg.
Well, one of Alan's unwritten rules is that there can only be one gym rat in a season, and that's got to be him. He can't have the competition. Yeah,
so does that mean he's going to find a way to whack Eric next?
Watch your back, Eric. He's coming for you.
Yeah. He's going to out-muscle you out of the race. Although I think Eric's got more muscle than Alan, though.
Yeah, I think just a little bit.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I love them both, it would be interesting to see them fight.
Yeah, maybe after a couple years of training in mixed martial arts, or just like a professional wrestling style matchup.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything other than the play fighting that would be professional wrestling, but...
I think Alan Wu's finishing move would be the Wook Bottom.
I knew you were going to do some sort of pun.
Or the Sharpshooter.
Did I send you Eric and Rona's application video?
I will watch it.
You've not seen Eric's dance moves?
I saw them this week at the karaoke challenge. He didn't even want to sing. He was trying to break Bobby Brown's world record for hip thrusts during a musical performance. Minus the cocaine.
Yeah, there's a lot of Eric's dance moves in it.
He's a dancer, not a rapper.
He is.
He's not the James, he's not the Jim, but the Bobby Brown.
Talking of rapping, how's your Poke Rap performance coming along?
I've been on a Poke overload this week. I was playing Pokemon Go on the way to pick up my pre-ordered copy of Pokemon Sun.
But you promised.
I promised nothing.
No, you promised last week that you would learn the entire College Humor version of the Poke Rap, and I'm very disappointed you haven't.
Yeah, that's what happens when I work full-time, and I'm about to move to Europe for nearly 4 months. Yeah, that's a disappointment.
Also, no Pokemon Sun and Moon discussion because it's not out here till Wednesday.
Oh, brutal. Oh, man. That's just going to be torture for you.
After the past 2 games had their embargo broken by some retailers in the UK especially, Europe get it 5 days late this time to stop that happening. But I have got it pre-ordered, and it will be coming to my workplace on Wednesday. I'm very excited about it because I know basically everything that happens in the story already.
Wow, you didn't avoid the spoilers at all, but granted it is Pokemon.
I didn't, but it's a pretty predictable story for Pokemon. And I kind of guessed most of the alleged twists anyway, so...
I hear it's supposed to be... I haven't had a chance to play it because I'm still trying to get through Phoenix Wright, but yeah, Phoenix Wright, Spirit of Justice. For anyone who's playing that game, I think that's the toughest Phoenix Wright game I've ever played by far. It was the first time I got stumped on a part of the trial in like 3 or 4 games.
Did you ever play Pushmo? Or Pullblox as it was called over here.
Oh, I've seen... Wasn't it available on like the Wii Virtual channel?
It's on the eShop on 3DS and Wii U.
Okay.
And you should play it. It's awesome.
Okay. All right, I'll wait till I come over there and I'll just play your copy.
Yeah, it's a puzzle game that is, for want of a better term, Nintendo hard. It has cutesy graphics, lulls you into a false sense of security, and then has the heart of a serial killer. It's evil.
Oh, like Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah. It appears so easy, and then it just has such a steep learning curve.
Speaking of Nintendo, are you getting an NES Mini?
I
decided against it.
No.
Because there's not enough value with it.
No, I am going to get the Switch, though, because there's a very real chance that the Switch could come out on my birthday.
Oh yeah, I'm getting the Switch too. Of course, that'll be when I get back to Canada.
There's a very real chance it could actually arrive on my birthday, and you might actually get the first chance to play the Switch at my house.
Oh, right! I'm there for your birthday.
You are?
Yeah, I leave like the next day to meet up with Jason and Randy.
You do. And I'm not sure what I'm going to plan for my birthday yet, because, I'll be off work. We won't be away for my birthday. I've just not decided what I'm doing yet.
Right. Oh, so this episode of Amazing Race Asia.
Yeah, we probably should, start talking about it, really. Given that we're 15 minutes in already, and all we've done is sort of gloat that we're going to be meeting in less than a month.
Yeah.
A month today, you'll be horrendously jet-lagged still, probably. Yay!
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so excited to see how badly jet-lagged you are, by the way. Perversely, it's going to be hilarious.
No, Toronto is the maximum jet lag I'll ever suffer from.
Because from my experience, going east screws me.
Oh yeah, that's what Jason and Randy have said too. Eastward is way, way, way tougher than westward, because westward it tends to balance out.
Well, westward I just tend to need a massive sleep, and then I'm fine the next morning, like when we landed in Calgary. Eastwards, I'm screwed for about 3 days. And you don't have the luxury of 3 days, because 2 days after you land, we're going to Amsterdam.
Maybe I'll find something in the red light district to cure my senses.
You can go to the red light districts if you want, but I won't be.
So, this episode, no departure times. What up with that? It's like they're trying to hide something from us. So, Louisa and Treasury find out that they have to go to a grab station. Another one. They're all over Southeast Asia. And we're really overdue for a sponsor task, considering we didn't get any last week.
Yeah, I don't hate this task. I think it is a great idea, and something that actually I'm very surprised they've not really done in Filipino legs before.
I thought they did it in the Filipino leg. Oh no, that was the Vietnamese leg in Asia 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, from my memory, I don't think they've ever done a task in the Philippines that is basically disaster relief.
Hmm.
Despite the fact that they have filmed legs in the Philippines like a week before one
Week
of the
before
typhoons.
disasters hit. Yeah, maybe that's what prompted them to do this. Like, Amazing Race thinks there's some sort of bad luck charm.
I think it was the Ukrainian leg in the Philippines that was filmed like 2 weeks before one of the typhoons.
Didn't Amazing Race 5 get there right around a disaster?
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's happened twice with Filipino legs, but they've never actually really acknowledged it. So it's nice that they've done this.
Yeah, and the Philippines really is prone to natural disasters. I posted online versions of Survivor over the years, and a lot of the contestants are Filipino. And there was the one time where there were still 2 Filipino contestants left. And yeah, then one of the big like cyclones or typhoons or whatever hit the cities, and they pretty much had no internet access for a few days because their whole houses just got absolutely flooded and just in pure crisis mode.
I would really like to go to the Philippines. It's been on my list for a while.
Yeah, although it's been not so safe for Canadians in the past little bit. There's been some stuff in the news where it's happened a couple times where Canadians have been executed.
That's dark.
Yeah, just telling you, yeah, like it's what's been discussed at work. Yeah, it was big news over here. This was probably just like, I don't know, maybe like a month or two ago. Probably not. Probably not.
Seeing as though they're planning all the wonderful Canadian cities that they're going to go to next year now.
Yeah, it'll just be Manila, Manitoba for next season. Manila!
Don't even joke about it, because I'm going to be really, really depressed when I see the route for Amazing Race Canada 5, Anna.
Or in here in Vernon, there is a Filipino breakfast place. So they could be going to that as well and be like, close enough to the Philippines.
Yeah, I suppose. I would like to see a Singapore leg just so Wu can be the greeter, because I really want to find out how him and Monty would interact.
Oh, yes. That would be something. I don't think they would get along.
They're both so lovely. They need to get along. They need to be best friends.
I don't know. I just think there'd be some sort of intense rivalry between them. They'll be fighting over our love.
I was going to say the only thing they could possibly compete over is who loves us more. Seems as though they're both friends on the podcast.
It'll be like hanging around like divorced parents, where they both just, like you get all the video games you want, you get all the food you want, just everything just gets handed to you because they're both trying to win you over.
Hey, if Monty and Wu want to send us presents, I am not going to turn them down.
Except, Monty, if you're listening, do not send me Campbell soup.
In fact, the only gift that I would ever want is to be a greaser on one of your legs. Seeing as though you both probably have future seasons coming up, call me, you know where I am.
Call me.
I still want the situation to happen where you get cast on Amazing Race Canada, and then I am the greeter of one of the legs, and you just round the corner, get to the pit stop, and just look really, really shocked.
Yeah, it'll be like levels of shock, like Sherry and Cole when they're not eliminated at the final 4. Anyways, this episode.
Yeah, then Monty would have to acknowledge my presence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we don't talk about the greeters normally.
Yeah, he just gives you the silent treatment. And all the teams, I believe, end up on the same flight to Manila.
They do, as seems to happen every leg. They all end up on the same flight.
Yeah, and Rona says she will kill it anywhere, anytime. No holds barred with Rona.
See, I thought Eric was the aggressive one, but evidently it's Rona.
Yeah, she actually says she's going to murder the competition. And then you have with Maggie, how she says that she's missing home like crazy. So I don't think she gets it that she won't actually be able to visit her own house during the leg.
Yeah, she's not at Anton and Armand. She can't contact home.
That did happen in the Philippines too, actually.
Oh wait, that happened in the vegan leg of the Philippines.
Really?
Yes.
Man, imagine if Maggie ran into her friends, and if she called Antoine and Armand just to continue the pattern of the same penalty.
something that I was going to get to at the end of the season, but there are a few little connections to the Amazing Race Philippines in this leg. And Yvonne and Chloe reiterate their desire to beat Louisa and Treasury, which says to me they probably won't.
Yeah. Especially when they haven't gotten more than, 2 minutes of airtime each episode. This was probably the most airtime they've gotten all season, which is bound to happen when fewer and fewer teams are left. But just, even with this week, they didn't really get all that much content.
Can we rule them out as winners yet?
Yeah. I mean, we know nothing about them.
I think we can also rule JK and Mike out as well.
Because their storyline ended with them finally getting a first place finish?
Although it's a first place finish that I will never acknowledge because I don't want to admit that we live in a world where JK and Mike are leg winners.
You're like the States with not recognizing China during the 70s.
Exactly.
The 60s.
JK and Mike are my China, and I'm the United States.
Yeah, that's quite the analogy I made there. Let's see. Tom wants to play his own race. Doesn't quite work out this leg.
We didn't see much of Tom and Anita this week.
No, they were really downplayed for a team that got eliminated.
They were under the radar on Edging, on their elimination episode.
There's Edgic for Amazing Race Asia?
Yeah, there's Edgic for Amazing Race Asia, and they were under the radar on this leg.
Probably the only eliminated team that gets to be that under the radar for their elimination episode.
It's really disappointing, though, because I had really high hopes for them at the start of the season. They were one of my favourites pre-season, and we just didn't see anything from them this week.
No, it was like their edit was building up, and then this week it's like, oh, they get eliminated. And unfortunately, we're trying to build up the end of the season, so Tom and Anita, there goes your airtime.
So once teams land in Manila and get to the grab station, they have to book a car, head to the Quiapo market, and buy the items for a disaster-prepared kit. They have to then head to a Red Cross building and deliver it to a family affected by a natural disaster before they can receive their next clue.
So that market seemed pretty intense.
That is every Asian market ever, Logan. Every Asian market we've seen on Amazing Race, every single building basically in Hong Kong is like that.
Was that the same market used in Amazing Race 25? Seems similar, because there was no Michael Jackson crossguard, though. There's no crossguards were moonwalking or, twisting about this time.
No, it wasn't. It was Divisoria, the market in Amazing Race 25.
Oh, yeah. I always mix up my Filipino markets.
Quiapo, Divisoria. Who knew?
So we learned that Rona loves to shop. She is the shopping queen, and Eric is washing his hands completely of any involvement in this task.
And Rona is the boss.
Yes, she is the boss. Apparently, she said that if you just yell at the people, they'll respond to you kindly.
Which went so well for JK.
Yeah, within like 2 seconds, Mike's like, "Oh, you're shouting, JK."
I'm not shouting.
I'm just trying to get us what we need. And it was just funny just seeing the one person in the marketplace, the second guy that they see who just looks really offended by JK and Mike, with JK yelling at him.
I'm offended by JK and Mike.
You're offended by them.
I can only say these things because I know they listen and they aren't taking it seriously at all. If anyone thinks that I'm being mean to JK and Mike, just listen back to the Amazing Race Canada 3 podcast. I was brutal to Gino and Jesse.
Oh, Gino and Jesse.
The worst. But I love how every time I take an irrational dislike to anyone pre-season, they end up being the person that most people hate by the end of the season. I've noticed this, because it's like JK and Mike, Tyler Oakley, although, he sort of had a bit of redemption in our minds because we stopped being brutal to him. It's just hilarious to me that other people seem to be joining me in my dislike.
With Tyler Oakley, what's funny is that I have followed him on Instagram and Snapchat since then, and yet to be blocked by him on either of those platforms.
I'm proud of you. I think he still has me blocked on Facebook.
Most likely. He has like a bunch of the Amazing Race fans blocked on Facebook. The next time he posts, I'm going to message the other admins and say, hey, tell Tyler to unblock a bunch of us because that's not very good for the community. Could you imagine Eric as a butler? Like, what butler clothes would fit him? Like, they would just tear up, I think, as he would try to put them on. Like, they would have to He'd be the biggest butler ever. Usually they're like tall and really thin people.
Where did that come from?
Well, well, Eric said that he was going to be Rona's butler for the shopping task. I wasn't just randomly coming up with the concept of what would happen if Eric was the butler for like some sort of, I don't know, like Thai royalty or something like that.
It did seem quite random that you just came out with, imagine if Eric was a butler.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to keep us on topic. It's been a losing battle for the past 33 minutes.
When we've got such a sparse episode in terms of actual stuff to talk about, we have to start talking shit.
And Yvonne is much like Eric, where she's not much of a shopper either. She doesn't know what dried fish looks like, and as a vegetarian, I don't really know either.
I thought it was Chloe who didn't know what dried fish looked like.
Oh God!
Are you having more trouble telling Asian people apart, Logan? You're so racist.
Oh God! Who was the one that was wearing the Tupac Shakur bandana at the start of the episode? Was it Yvonne or Chloe?
That's Yvonne. They usually say Yvonne and Chloe facing the
Oh
camera.
dear God! I've been mixing the two of them up pretty much all season long. That's just fantastic.
Chloe's the one with kind of a longer face.
Is she the taller one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been mixing the two of them up pretty much all season, and it's not like Alex and Will where their differences are a bit more subtle. Chloe and Yvonne are much more distinct between the two of them.
So yet again, Logan proving that he thinks all Asian people look the same.
Hey, at least I learned it by 6 episodes in.
It's only sort of 2/3 of the way through the season, Logan.
Yeah, it's not like the last leg. It's like, oh God, I've been mistaken.
And Eric and Rona do have the linguistic advantage at the market.
And did you know that Maggie also has an advantage because this leg is in the Philippines, and that definitely won't be repeated 3 more times by the end of the episode?
Oh, definitely not.
And that Eric and Rona also won't be repeating this, and that we won't be getting a bunch of Eric and Rona and Maggie and Karul scenes to reinforce the fact that both teams are absolutely guaranteed to be in the final 3?
I think you'll find that it's Perul and Margaret.
Oh yes, Perul and Margaret. Yes, Eric is really a butler. He's so formal with people's names.
And in the same way that you promised to learn the poker rap and didn't do it, I promised that I would do an impression of Eric this week, and it's not happening because my voice really isn't up to it. I've been struggling a little bit this week. It'll be much more evident on the Apprentice podcast when we release that, because I was pretty rough on Friday.
I see. Gotta stop with those hangovers, Michael.
I know. I can't help it. I just smoke 60 cigarettes a day and, you know.
Okay, Shane Powers.
You know those cartoons where it's like bundles of cigarettes in someone's mouth and they're smoking them at the same time? That's what I'm like. Just for the record, anyone listening, I do not smoke. I will never smoke.
Smoke. Are you smoking yet? Family Guy reference. So, what else happens in the market? Oh yeah, there was that sign that said to kiss aging goodbye. And this season has definitely reflected that since nobody over the age of 40 has been cast.
And yet, Eric and Rona are still the oldest people left in the cast and have been since episode 1.
Oh yeah, like when they come back from All Stars, they'll be in their walkers. Like man, just send them off to the retirement home after the season is done.
Can you imagine Amazing Race Asia All Stars?
That'd be odd to have like 4 seasons, go on break for 6 years, and then they have an All-Star edition.
Because let's be honest, Amazing Race Asia is going to get a 6th season. And it might get a movie as well.
Yes, it'll just be like Community, Asian Community.
Hashtag 6 seasons in a movie. But unlike most other franchises, Amazing Race Canada, I wouldn't be opposed to an Amazing Race Asia All Stars.
So we've had a lot of top-tier characters after, just 5 seasons.
That's what I mean. When you're doing Amazing Race All Stars, you need a cast that is just wall-to-wall characters.
And you need Singaporean Sophie and French-born Aurelia as a lock for the cast.
And I don't think that Amazing Race Asia would do it badly. I don't think they would pick any boring people.
So there's not, what's the bottom of the barrel for Amazing Race Asia? Isaac and William?
Yeah.
Probably Isaac and William and Sahil and Prashant.
Even the most dominant teams in Amazing Race Asia, unlike most of the other franchises, aren't boring teams. Look at Mark and Revealson, for example.
Base.
The most dominant team in Amazing Race history, and they have personality.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, if you wanted to do 2 seasons next year and do Amazing Race Asia All-Stars and Amazing Race Asia 7 as it would be then, wouldn't be opposed to it, guys. As long as you do a UK leg and make me the greaser. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
As soon as I've given up on my quest to get Monty to get me to be the greaser for Amazing Race Canada, come on, Amazing Race Asia, do it for me. Woo it for me.
And then, let's see. Oh, and then the marketplace. JK and Mike continue to fight as Mike is, in the words of Taylor from Kid Nation, he is learning to deal with it and to let JK have his moment.
In the confessional, when we're just seeing them basically shout at each other, he looks shell-shocked. He looks genuinely like he has PTSD for having to deal with JK all the time.
Or JKSD.
Yeah.
It's JK and Mike's traumatic moment of the day. And Tom and Anita ask for some garlic head at the market.
I think you'll find it's Anita!
Yes. Yeah, so I think Dracula would have absolutely hated garlic head. It's just not his style. It's just not in his taste.
Garlic Head does sound like some sort of one-hit wonder 80s band.
Yeah, probably like George Michael was the lead singer of Garlic Head.
What is your obsession with George Michael? You've mentioned him twice in the past few podcasts.
When did I last mention him?
I'm pretty sure it's an Amazing Race Asia podcast you've mentioned in him.
Huh. Man, I really need to expand my material then.
Because I had to explain what happened on Hampstead Heath to you.
Oh, right.
Might have been Amazing Race Canada, actually. Yeah, it was Amazing Race Canada.
All right, so let's see. Megan Perul. Somebody tries to give a bowl to them, and instead they don't catch the bowl, and a few dozen cups break in the process as dozens of people watch this go down in the process. There's actually a lot of locals watching Megan Perul and all the other teams in the marketplace.
Yeah, did you notice the people with camera phones recording them? All the RFF spies who usually hide in trees and things on golf courses.
This was pretty blatant, yeah. It's like they were given advance notice that they were entering the marketplace ahead of time. But I also know that with the Philippines, they're really big reality TV fans overall. Like, that's a huge percentage of the foreign market I see in terms of interacting with foreign Survivor fans.
Do you think that that's probably why they went to vegan?
To be a bit more isolated and to not eat any meat?
Exactly. They have a task in Manila, because that's where they'll probably have to fly into, because that'll probably be the only place in the Philippines that Garuda fly to.
Manila!
And then they can go to vegan to slightly steal some things off Amazing Race Philippines.
Yeah, and of course they probably had to do the Red Cross task in Manila, because they likely didn't have that in vegan. I can't really say anything about the Red Cross part of it. I feel like, yeah.
As we've stated in a very small number of tasks, we can't really joke about that task because it's very good that they've done it. I was pleasantly surprised when I found out they'd done it.
Yeah.
Because it's a rare moment from Amazing Race of them giving back to the community, which doesn't really happen that much anymore.
Although Maggie and Perul really showed up the other 5 teams by donating all the extra cash from that task to the people at the Red Cross.
They turned the Red Cross into an Indonesian orphanage.
Yeah. And all the other teams didn't give away their extra money, so now they just look like huge jerks. And it's all thanks to Maggie and Perul's diabolical plan to make everyone not look very charitable.
Fun fact, on the table when they got to the Red Cross, there was a small sign that said you have to give away all the money you have in your possession, and only Perul and Maggie did it. Everyone else got an unaired penalty.
That is true. Just Andy and Tommy and somehow Kaylani and Lacey finished in the top 2 positions of this leg of the race. And Ethan and Jenna sadly went home, along with Lisa and Nicole.
I wish I could say that was the only time that twist has come up, but it has happened again.
Yeah, Amazing Race Canada 3 had it too, and everybody missed the sign to donate, so everybody's penalties canceled each other out. And it was funny, who finished? It's Louise and Treasury. No, not Louise and Treasury. Erica and Rona that finished the task in first with.
Because they're the only ones who get the who get the first aid kit from the pharmacy.
Right, everyone else struggles. Maggie and Prule in second, and then JK and Mike in third. And when JK and Mike get into the vehicle, they say that they haven't spent money to buy stuff in a long time. So apparently, JK really does, and Mike both just rotate between the same few shirts, I guess.
Well, they refuse to buy anything, so what can you say?
Yeah, they refuse to buy over your loyalty to them and to respect them on this podcast. So that's the one thing they haven't spent money on too.
If they want to bribe me with gifts, they can do.
It is, and Christmas is just a month away.
I am completely selfish like that. If you want to buy me gifts and lavish me with things, be my guest. I can easily be won over. Sod integrity.
You would have been great in the Mexican government during the PRI days. Like back when the PRI was the only party that ruled for 80 years. That's all it was. Just bribes just got you by. Let's see. And then we get a lot of emotion, lots of crying. And then teams find out they're going to be traveling by bus to the Vegan Adventure Zone. And once they get into Vegan, they'll be traveling by a funny-looking tricycle.
Which was a completely inappropriate method for Eric and Rona to travel.
Yeah. Just they were suffocating in there. Like I don't think they felt that home field advantage when riding in that tricycle.
Make no mistake, that is the only reason that they did that requirement, was to get the stupid video of Eric hunched up in the tricycle.
Yeah, he probably had to remove a couple of his bicep muscles just to get in there. And then let's see. Yeah, and then we get the whole train station scene, which is other teams scrambling to get to the train station, while Eric and Rona and Maggie and Perul go out for dinner together.
Yeah, they just have a nice Filipino food.
Yeah, and Eric is eyeing Maggie and Perul's plates. Like, he was ready to eat all 4 plates at the dinner table.
Well, of those 4 people, 2 of them did have a massive 5-course meal last leg, so he's probably still quite hungry.
Yes, because he had to watch everyone eat, so I'm guessing the 2, Rona and Maggie, who ate the 5-course meal, probably didn't have as much food on their plate, so I'm sure they let Eric just finish it all off. Like, 4 plates right there, that's a 4-course meal for him.
And Tom and Anita are the only team who are on a bus an hour behind everyone else.
But that won't matter because we get a semi-equalizer with the roadblock, everyone taking tickets, waiting until the next morning. You know, usual Amazing Race stuff.
Yeah, it's an hours of operation for 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, there was one funny thing with JK and Mike regarding the Red Cross task that I feel does not cross the line. Right when they get to that bus station to get their tickets, JK complains about it being a 10-hour bus ride right after he was at the Red Cross with the families in need. I just found it kind of amusing in terms of the timing of those 2 scenes.
He's just so ungrateful.
Yeah, and then Mike even's like, it's not going to be that bad, JK.
JK, we've met people who have just been affected by natural disasters, you ungrateful shit.
That's all the producers say to them off camera. I just love those types of scenes though, where it's like this whole emotional scene where, you know how it is on reality TV, even on Survivor, where it's like, oh man, we really appreciate what we have, and just go on and on and on with all the teams and how emotional they are and how things are going to be different when they get back home. And then literally 2 seconds later, it's like, oh, I'm sick of this rice and coconut. And then with JK, it's like, oh, this 10-hour bus ride's going to be crucial.
I love how I just have the impression that the editors are cutting out every time that Mike swears at JK because it's so much.
Yeah. Or JK trying to sit in between Yvonne and Chloe, and it was Yvonne who slapped him away.
Are you sure?
See, Yvonne, final answer.
You just won $10.
Yes, I won something.
So the roadblock is who's on target, and in this roadblock, 1 team member must zip line across the river and successfully hit a floating target with a flower bomb to get their next clue. The
Travis and Nicole Memorial Amazing Race 23 finale tasks, as I like to call it.
Well, that was from a plane, though.
Yeah, it's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's the Superman pose.
And it's Maggie, Mike, Rona, Treasury, Chloe, and Anita doing this roadblock. And this is also the first point where you look to Amazing Race Philippines, because they also did a task at this place, just not this one.
What was their task at the Adventure Zone?
It was one team member has to ride a kayak and paddle through the river to reach his partner rappelling down the bridge. Once the team was reunited, the paddler must then reach the riverbanks to receive their next clue.
All sorts of stuff at the Adventure Zone then.
Yeah.
Although this flower bomb task was pretty neat. You can just hear R. Kelly's I Believe I Can Fly playing in the background.
It was pretty cool. It was sort of a slightly pointless task.
I thought a flower bomb would be more painful, like there'd be some sort of explosion sound effect.
It's the sort of thing you would see on the mole.
That is exactly the type of task you would see on the mole. Hit the center target. I hear that, what's his name? What's the host from Mole 5? John Kelly?
Yeah.
He said he got it on this first try.
Well, he would.
And I cannot believe I remembered that specific scene from Mole 5.
Whereas Anderson Cooper was just sitting back drinking foot wine.
And eating an apple. It was so obvious that Bill is the mole because he was because Anderson Cooper was eating an apple.
Oh, I wish that we would be able to do a Vidim podcast, but sadly the schedule's a little bit too erratic.
Yeah.
Because we're waiting on translations. Usually it's up on the same day each week, but sometimes not.
Let's see. Maggie, Mike, Rona, Treasury, Chloe, and Anita do this task. I had Yvonne written down, but now I know just to say the opposite of the name that I had written.
And the most confusing bit about this task for me was, why is Mike wearing 2 watches?
One that's adjusted to local time and one that's adjusted to Singapore time.
But that would get really confusing.
Well, he has to do the conversion, you know.
Also, isn't the Philippines on the same time as Singapore?
No, I don't think so. I would assume it's like 2 time zones away. 1 or 2. 2 time zones away.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Positive?
Yep.
You are wrong.
3.
They are in the exact same time zone. They're both +8.
What?
So suck it, Saunders.
Huh.
So Rona misses quite a lot, so Eric ends up coaching her. Not that it helps much. And apparently Treasury has great aim, but still misses.
Although she comes up with the correct strategy, and Louise and Treasury look like they're gonna win 4 legs in a row.
Good on them. That would put them into a very exclusive club.
Yes, if they win this leg, they're right on the heels of Mark and Wilson's record.
Had they won this leg, they would be approaching the equaling of Justin and Diana's record of 5 in a row.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And Maggie is not too fond at first of this roadblock.
No, I can't imagine doing continuous zip lines would be great fun for them.
Yeah. It was apparently particularly tight around the chest for her.
Yeah. A problem that we wouldn't suffer.
No. A problem Eric might suffer from the size of his pecs.
So once teams complete the roadblock, they have to find the M.A. Perul antique shop, inside which they can find their next clue. Caution, Wu turn ahead.
The Perul antique shop? Man, I knew that Perul and Maggie were big in the Philippines. I didn't know they were that big. I guess nursing school is a really big deal in Vigan.
It was renamed especially for them. So, Perul and Maggie are the next to leave after 4 attempts, and then JK and Mike leave in 3rd, and Yvonne and Chloe leave in 4th, both after 5 attempts. And Eric and Rona leave in 5th after 11, and Tom and Anita leave in last after 12.
Tom and Anita are just failing at everything this leg. This round isn't going well for them. And then with Mike, he got really into the whole Superman pose after the task was over. I do love how he freaked out at first when he was attached into that harness, though.
Yeah, I can't. It's not a particularly natural position for people to be ziplining in. Usually, ziplining is attached, basically sitting down rather than face down.
Yeah, and he's in line to be the next Christopher Reeves. Just don't ride a Carabao.
Fun fact: he was on the shortlist to play Superman in the Supergirl TV show, but just like Scoopin', he was cut at the last minute.
I see. Yeah, and Louise and Treasury, I mean, their strategy with achieving that roadblock was very Tim Allen Home Improvement-esque, where all they used was more power. Arr, arr, arr.
That sounded a little bit Rupert Bonham, that.
Have you seen Home Improvement?
Not for a while.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to do his whole, like, caveman, like, arr, arr, that Tim Allen thing.
You snake motherfucker using more power.
Wilson! Let's see. Yeah, not much else happens at the roadblock. Maggie throws it like a baseball, fifth time's the charm with Mike, and then we get a bunch of Indonesia commercials once again.
What a wonderful world indeed.
And then we get to one of my favorite detours, Longanisa Kalisa, or Carabao Karaoke.
As soon as I heard the words Carabao Karaoke, I thought this is going to be an amazing task, and I wasn't let down.
They took the two most common tasks used in Amazing Race ever in the Philippines whenever they visit. I mean, Carabao was seen in Amazing Race Asia 2, and then, karaoke seems to appear in at least one Southeast Asia leg in every season of Amazing Race for the past, 5 years. And they combine both Carabao and karaoke. You're riding behind a Carabao learning the song lyrics to a local song.
It's so awkward for them because they're just singing in a dialect they have never heard before.
Yeah, they don't even. Eric and Rona and Maggie and Perul lose their advantage because it's not even in Tagalog.
Whilst they are slowly moving towards Plaza Burgess.
Yeah, and then right behind Eric and Rona, as they try this, as they're hoping for a tag-along, is Yvonne and Chloe that are tagging along.
And Plaza Burgess was also in the Amazing Race Philippines leg in Vigan, although not for their detour. They had an active route info there.
And of course, producers go for the joke with the Longanisa Kalisa task in Vigan by having a sausage-making task in that town, which completely contradicts what I thought about that city.
Oh, what's that? There was a Longanisa themed detour in Amazing Race Philippines. Yes, there was, you're right. The detour for the Amazing Race Philippines one included, well, both sides were Longanisa themed, but it was work was to make 24 Longanisas to the standards of the vendor to receive their next clue, and in Chew they had to eat a plate of 70 of them to receive their next clue.
Wow, that sounds as bad as 49 race bowls.
Certainly does. So in Longanisa Kalisa, teams must first head to collect the ingredients to make local sausages called longanisa. Then they must create and stitch 15 longanisa in the time it takes for the traditional ride on a horse-drawn carriage known as a kalisa to go through the streets to Plaza Burgess. And if they didn't have 15 completed, they had to do the ride all over again. And once they had all 15 completed, they received their next clue.
You have no idea how much I wanted for either the singer Khaleesi or Khaleesi from Game of Thrones to be riding on the karaoke thing with the teams. That would have been awesome. Longanisa, Khaleesi.
Maybe the next detour when they go to Vigan will be Kalisa or Khaleesi. There'll be a milkshake making task.
And the other one is that you have to eat a dragon egg.
Yeah. And Carabao Karaoke, as you said, means that teams must take a ride on the back of a Carabao pulled cart, which has a karaoke machine on the back of it, with the song Six Little Ducks in Ilocano. Once they reach Plaza Burgess, they have to perform the song to the satisfaction of the judge and the awaiting audience to receive their next clue.
I've got a fever, Michael, and the only prescription is more of Carabao. Christopher Walken.
You need to at least do the Christopher Walken accent if you're going to do that.
I used to be able to do the Christopher Walken accent, but I don't even try.
I'm disappointed in you.
I can do with him reading Good Night Moon. Scooch closer, children. Don't make me tell you about the scooching. And don't make me tell you about the scooping either.
And I have some insight as to why one team picked Carabao Karaoke.
What is that insight?
And that team is Eric and Rona. Because you know how Eric used to be a TV star in the Philippines?
Kinda.
Well, on the show that he recurred on, which I don't know the name of, apparently they used to use Six Little Ducks a lot, so he was very familiar with the song.
Man, who knew that would come in handy on The Amazing Race? That would be like me, listening to Weird Al and then going on the Amazing Race.
Then there was an accordion-related task.
Yeah, and then we had to recite the lyrics to Eat It or something like that in the middle of Vietnam. And we had to sing it in Vietnamese.
That would be quite impressive. And also, given the theme of Weird Al's recent tour, I'm not sure Vietnam would particularly embrace him.
Oh, because of the whole communist look?
I deliberately had to not wear my Weird Al Mandatory Fun Tour, or Mandatory World Tour t-shirt when I was in Vietnam, because it wouldn't have gone down very well.
Or maybe they thought you were supporting them.
Yeah, maybe. So, which one would you have picked? I think I know the answer, but which one would you have picked?
Probably Carabao Karaoke.
Yeah, I would have picked that one as well.
It just seemed like more fun, and seemed like the judge was the MC there was a bit more relaxed with the criteria.
Yeah, it was less of a skill thing.
Yeah. Seemed more fun than Shine Your Light.
Which was also promoted on the Amazing Race Canada page this week.
Yeah.
So, Prue and Maggie initially choose Carabao, but almost immediately switch to Longanisa when they realise that they won't have any linguistic advantage. Which sort of makes sense, because, you know, if you're going to have any teams from the Philippines, you kind of got to have a Tagalog-themed task.
Yeah, you need to... You know, be funny is if when doing the sausage task, the song Lolita plays on the Longanisa.
And Prue used to be a nurse, so he's in charge of stitching the sausages.
Is this the first... Jesus, Michael.
What?
Nothing.
If you've got a dirty mind, Logan, I can't help it.
This was the first confessional from Perul, I think, for the entire round. I think Maggie had all the other confessionals.
Margaret.
Margaret. So, yeah, Perul gets her first confessional. Apparently only Maggie was allowed to talk up until this point.
Well, she is Purple Perul. Or Perupal.
Perupal? That sounds like a currency in Legend of Zelda.
Do.
Let's see. Louise and Treasury. First task they've truly struggled with all season.
I'm not sure they'd be outgoing enough to get the clue from Carabao Karaoke, though, either. They seem quite reserved.
They seem introverted, I agree. They're probably the most introverted team left.
They're quite reserved.
They were... Yeah, who knew their weakness would be a task where size matters? And Louisa didn't laugh at Treasury's joke. She was really trying to suppress any giggling.
And you criticised me for doing the joke about stitching the sausage.
Yeah, apparently it was too tight. Or the worst was with Anita, where she actually squeezed the sausage to where it was ruined.
I am not remixing it again.
No, but you could if you wanted to.
It's once a season, Logan.
Yeah, that's true.
It's tedious as it is. Have you listened to this season's one yet? Did you hear it?
The one from last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to that whole thing. That was awesome.
I was waiting for Wu to respond to it purely because I'd included the Fear Factor clip as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised you got that clip.
Yeah, it's on the Fear Factor page.
Oh.
It's not listed as Alan Wu, but it's one of the Fear Factor memories.
Hilarious.
So it was actually really easy to find, way easier than I thought. And I did spend most of last Sunday just watching old Fear Factor clips wincing. Because there's some horrible, horrible things that did to people.
Oh yeah, like it violated the Geneva Convention for sure.
I mean, one of the ones that I couldn't even watch was one where they gave someone 10 piercings. Ugh. I don't want to see that.
No. That's something for Claire's.
Why would you do that on television?
Ratings, Michael, ratings.
Oh.
With Tom and Anita, we find out it is Tom's time of the month.
It is. Apparently he's a bit menstrual.
Yes, Anita told him to stop getting his period, but you know what? Tom's in his 20s, and I don't think his cycle is going to change anytime soon.
He's Tom menstrual.
Tom menstrual. I don't even know where to go from here with that.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I'm just on a pun mood today.
He is Philo PMSing.
And JK might get a rejection at Carabao for not being fun enough.
That's a common problem for JK and Mike on this podcast.
I wasn't going to say anything for that. I don't need to say anything for that. Oh.
Yeah, so Louise and Treasury get their sausage rejected. And Maggie and Perul, do they get rejected too, or do they get on the first try?
Yeah, Louisa and Treasury have 10 accepted, and Yvonne and Chloe do get a rejection as well, before JK and Mike leave Carabao in first.
JK and Mike in first?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I cannot believe that I'm saying these words. And teams must now find Plaza Salcedo, where the Wu turn awaits.
A single Wu turn.
It is, it's not a double Wu turn.
And it goes unused.
Unwoozed, actually.
Yeah, like, this is weird. Like, with the past few seasons, or was Amazing Race 28, there was, like, no twist used at all for the first half of the season. Well, there wasn't really any twist to begin with, but they ignored their first U-turn as well. But here in Amazing Race Asia, we are 60% of the way through the season, and a yield, a U-turn, and a fast forward all went unclaimed.
The thing I worry about here is that maybe for Amazing Race Asia 6, they're going to think, oh, we don't need to include these things. And yeah, you could probably get away without including U-turns, because I don't like them particularly. But don't deprive us of fast forwards, and don't deprive us of yields either. Yields are way more fun than U-turns.
Yeah, because they just get to stand there and be pissed off for half an hour rather than being distracted by another task.
Yields are pure character moments. U-turns are just another thing to take interesting information out of the episode for me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that for sure.
Whereas I love the character moments that the yield brings, especially when you go all out and put a must-vote yield in every leg, as Tamarot has taken to doing occasionally, which is just devious and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you get like 4 teams who are affected.
I really want Amazing Race Canada to do the must-vote U-turn. You have no idea.
I think it's the only way that they can get away with it anymore. I know we've basically said that Amazing Race Canada is dead to us unless they leave the country. But if they put in a must-vote U-turn, I think it'll be way more fun, at least.
Rather than just the same 1 or 2 teams dominating the whole season.
Well, exactly. Because that then would force people to use it. That's the problem for me, is that they're too afraid of looking un-Canadian by not using U-turns. Whereas if they were forced to, I think it would add a little bit of deception and fun in there.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like we're going to be getting another U-turn probably in leg 8 would be my assumption. I don't think that we're going to see one right away next episode. Next episode, if anything, is going to be a non-elimination.
Yeah, I think we've probably got to get rid of the non-elimination before they can use it.
And apparently JK and Mike's reason for not using it is to preserve their dignity.
I did like that even though nobody used it, the back half of the team said, oh, we're not using it this time. Maybe next time, though. Even Eric and Rona.
Yeah. Eric will U-turn soon. Or Megan Carrul saying, we're nice girls for now, but not next time.
But the fact that they included it in the episode means that we're probably getting another one, and we're probably getting another one used.
It's probably going to be a double U-turn if Eric and Rona and Megan Carrul both say they're going to use it. And those two teams have been very tight since the beginning. I mean, they're even nicknaming each other in Tagalog, and Eric is addressing Maggie in the form with their formal name.
They're building up to that alliance, I think, running something.
Mm-hmm. Probably knocking out Louise and Treasury would be my guess.
And I hope and pray that the fact that we basically saw an unused U-turn and a potential alliance forming means that we're going to see another U-turn that gets used, and gets used quite deviously, because that's what I want.
Yeah. If anything, JK and Mike and Louise and Treasury are probably going to be the victims of the U-turn.
Because I suspect that JK has probably been slightly annoying people.
Possibly. We can only guess.
I know this episode was basically pure character moments in terms of JK getting told off by Mike for shouting at everyone and things like that. But I think that everything is included for a reason, and maybe that reason is that they're the targets because they're just slightly annoying.
I love it. I was just trying to look through my notes, and I even wrote down that Eric Bobby Brown's it at the roadblock.
All I wrote down was Eric's dance moves heart.
He was just one step away from transitioning from Bobby Brown hip thrust into moonwalking, followed by a twerk.
I've said in the past how I love Eric and Rona's relationship anyway, but I love how she doesn't even shoot him down slightly when he starts just boogieing.
Once he starts, he can't stop. He can't stop till he gets enough. Come on.
So yeah, Yvonne and Chloe leave Caraval in second, and JK and Mike basically say that using the Wu turn is cheating. And then Pearl and Maggie leave Longanisa in third. Yvonne and Chloe don't Wu turn.
They don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to be the Razor Ramon of the Amazing Race Asia. And if the Asian contestants know who Razor Ramon is, I will be very impressed.
And Tom and Anita get a rejection at Longanisa, and Eric and Rona leave Caraval in fourth. Pearl and Maggie choose not to Wu turn. And then Louisa and Treasury leave Longanisa in fifth. Eric and Rona don't Wu turn, and Tom and Anita leave Longanisa in last. And Louisa and Treasury are afraid of karma if they U-turn, which is interesting.
Yes, they fear the karma. I guess they really want to preserve those first place finishes, so they really don't want to screw up their rhythm whatsoever. Unlike the rhythm that Eric had with his dance moves.
And teams must now find the Bante Bell Tower, where Tara Basro is imprisoned awaiting the arrival of her Prince Charming. And it is the pit stop at this leg of the race. The last team to check in may be eliminated.
And this all goes by very quickly.
It does.
JK and Mike trigger one of the biggest upsets ever by going from a 6.0 average to winning their first leg of the race over halfway into the season. And because of this, are now predicting that they will go home in the next leg to counterbalance it.
But Logan, my copy didn't have anyone be awarded the first place win. In fact, it just skipped straight to Yvonne and Chloe checking in second.
It just skipped? Like that scene just got... Wow, that's some crazy British censorship.
Yeah, for some reason, we just got a second place awarded to Yvonne and Chloe.
Huh. Man.
So I don't know where JK and Mike checked in, but I didn't see them check in at all.
And then Perul and Maggie finish in third, and still brag about their home court advantage of being super happy with their performance, even though they finished behind two teams who weren't from the Philippines. In fact, they were pretty steady with where they have finished in the past few legs. So this leg in the Philippines made zero difference.
And Eric and Rona checking in fourth, with Louisa and Treasury slipping down the standings and checking in fifth, which leaves Tom and Anita to check in last, and sadly, they are eliminated from the race.
I think Louisa and Treasury, is it already impossible then for them to break Mark and Wilson's record?
Yes.
So they were at 1.6 going into this leg, so...
It's impossible for them to do it now. They'll be at 1.7 at the best.
Should have done karaoke. I hear that the Indonesians are just as good at karaoke as they are at badminton.
So it's time to eulogise Tom and Anita.
What was funny in Tom and Anita's final confessional, when Anita's talking, you can hear a dog barking in the background on the audio.
What I didn't like about Tom and Anita being eliminated was the fact that the frigging page spoilt it. I was looking at Facebook at work, like right after the episode had finished, and it came up at the top of my newsfeed. Oh, chat with Tom and Anita.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what we get for living in the West.
I know.
Especially, it's kind of funny with Australian Survivor and Amazing Race Asia, because the tables have truly turned. Like, with all the shows there in North America, I never have to worry about that. So there is at a convenient time for me, and I have access to it in real time. And here with Australian Survivor and Amazing Race Asia, I pretty much get to know who goes home beforehand, because I don't get to watch the episode right away, and there's really no way to avoid it, unless I don't go on the internet at all, which, I mean, I guess I could try to avoid everything more, but I just choose not to, and I accept that.
So I'll miss Tom and Anita, because I really like them.
Were they last at every single task of this leg?
Yeah, they didn't even reach any task not in last this leg.
Yeah, because they took even with arriving at tasks in last place, they were still last at those tasks.
Yeah, it was a very understated final leg for them.
Yeah, there's really not much else to discuss other than they looked like a team who was going to go really far into the race, and then incredibly floundered these past two episodes, especially with this one. Like there was no fun scenes, like no breaks, like the breaks going out on their bicycle from near the start of the season or anything like that. Just oh, by the way, Tom and Anita are out of the race. And yeah, so we'll miss them.
I'd much rather the check-in order got completely flipped this leg.
Yeah, then at least Louise and Treasury would still have a shot at the record.
Yeah, Louise and Treasury having their legacy broken by Tom and Anita, and they come in second. That'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm. And Cruel and Maggie and Eric and Rona would just swap spots and both still get to stay. The home court advantage worked out well for them. Speaking of Cruel and Maggie,
they're winning.
They're winning, yes. Nothing has changed since week 1.
We're not going to mince our words. They're going to win.
And then Eric and Rona still projected to be second. Yvonne and Chloe, I imagine, are going to be next out. Like, this has been such an invisible edit for them. I mean, I just figured out who is who. I mean, come on now. And then Louise and Treasury probably going to be U-turned out of the race in 4th. And then JK and Mike will probably be that random team that finishes in 3rd place.
So next time, teams head to Singapore. Eric and Rona overtake the competition. There's a lot of shouting at various teammates. Eric cracks, and teams have to choose between drones and skateboards.
Yeah, I hear that Eric's heart rate exceeded a certain number, and he's going to turn into the Incredible Hulk next week, which is really going to scare the crap out of everybody in Singapore.
This is unconfirmed, but you know that scene in the Next Time preview where Eric and Rona say they don't know where they are? I think that is in Suntec City, which is where the Fountain of Wealth is.
Ooh. Yeah, I know next round for sure is Singapore. Like that.
It's definitely Singapore, but it looks like when I was in Suntec City last year. I wouldn't be shocked if it is Suntec City, which is really cool.
Is Eric just going to pull apart the railing at the Fountain of Wealth then?
Hopefully.
And I guess no Taiwan this season. It makes no geographical sense for them to go from Singapore to Taiwan than to Indonesia by the end.
I don't know what happened to Taiwan, because Thailand seems to replace it.
Maybe the Indonesian government got confused Thailand with Taiwan and just said both of them.
So I think we both agreed that it's a non-elimination next week. Who do you think is going to get non-eliminated?
Who will be non-eliminated? I don't know. JK and Mike will have that home field advantage in Singapore, although it would be hilarious if this is the time where they come in last.
But no one has won a leg in the country they're from. Since Brandon Alpheus.
There's not that many teams left. Let's go with Yvonne and Chloe. Although then that messes up my theory of Louise and Treasury being U-turned out of the race.
And there is a little bit more Amazing Race history that I need to get into, which is the Bantay Bell Tower is also a quite infamous location in Amazing Race history because it is the first place where a team chose to eliminate another team when they had a salvage pass to get a time advantage. Because Mark and Kat in Amazing Race Philippines chose to enter the Bantay Bell Tower half an hour earlier than the rest of the teams to get their next clue.
Oh.
So now you know.
Fun fact.
I knew I recognised the name, and I couldn't remember where it's from. It's the only other time it's ever been visited in Amazing Race.
Do you know how pissed off Canadians would be with this leg, with the pit stop? They would think that the Bell Tower was sponsored by Bell.
Well, there's always got to be one pit stop that is sponsored by Bell, so maybe it's the Bantay Bell Tower.
Yeah. Who knew that Bell was expanding to the Philippines? I didn't know that.
They're the new sponsors alongside Grab.
Yeah.
So is there anything else to say about this leg before we return next week?
No, I think we covered it all.
I think we did as well. It's a much longer podcast than I thought it was going to be.
Although a huge chunk of it is off topic, so have fun editing.
Oh, I will. So thank you for listening to this You Are Team Number podcast. You can join us next Sunday to recap episode number 7. If you've got any questions, feel free to contact us on our Facebook page, RTTV Warriors, on our Twitter account, RTV Warriors, our own Twitter pages, MJ Armstrong for me, and Log Super Kawaki for Logan. See you next week.
Peace!